It has been unbearably cold this last week or so, especially if you're on the East Coast. I'm in New York. It has been absolutely brutal. And it has me thinking about all the reasons I hate winter and all the reasons I hate New York. But then it had me thinking of all the reasons I loved the winter when I was really anxious. Because the great thing about the cold is it's a great reason to stay inside. And when you have social anxiety, you love to give yourself an excuse to stay inside. In fact, I remember when I was younger, I hated the summer. Even though my birthday was in the summer, even though school was out over the summer, seemed like everybody else loved the summer, and that's exactly why I hated it. I hated the fact, to be honest, that everybody loved it. I was a bit resentful towards other people because they seemed to get so much joy out of the summer. I couldn't really enjoy my birthday because I didn't really want to be around people. And it seemed like everybody always wanted to go out, and there was always this pressure, this constant pressure to go out, to socialize, to be around people. And I was terrified. And I didn't want to do that. And I just wanted the summer to end. And so even in the summer, I'd make excuses. I'd tell myself it was too hot. What if I get heat stroke? Hey, I have a heart condition. It's not good to be out in the heat. And some of these things were maybe legitimate, but most of them were not. And the same goes for the winter. The same goes for anywhere, anytime. Unless you live in Southern California at some point, you're going to find a good reason to stay inside, to stay away from people, whether it's raining, whether it's freezing. And I understand, yes, there's a point where it's just not worth going outside. I mean, it has been awful lately. But I think this is important to talk about because these are things that impact us every single day. And these are one of the biggest things that prevent us from making the progress that we could be making. All the excuses that we make. And some of these excuses, we can find them every single day. I mean, the weather, how often is weather a really nice day? Half the time, maybe. They're not during the winter. During the winter, it's every day. So you have an entire season where you can excuse away. And you can say, you know what, I'm not going to go out today. I'm not going to try today. It's too cold. It's too cold. Oh, it's wet. It's slushy. I don't want to get in my car. I don't want to. What if I get in an accident? We come up with all these reasons, all these excuses. And for you, it may not even be weather. It may be other reasons why you have excuses. Maybe you have work in the morning and you tell yourself, I really should get to bed early. I really shouldn't go to that thing that I was invited to because, I don't know. I shouldn't go to the gym because, I worked out yesterday. I worked out my legs. My legs are really tired. But the real reason is you don't want to go to the gym because you don't want to be around people, right? We do this all the time. There's so many ways that we can find excuses. And the thing we have to understand about excuses, and I think we know this when we think about it long enough, but in the moment, it doesn't seem this way. Excuses are things that we rationalize later on. They seem rational in the moment. We don't realize that our subconscious is working overdrive because we are anxious and we are uncomfortable. And we are actually making these decisions from our emotions. These are emotional decisions that we later convince ourselves are rational. So the reality is, I'm afraid. That's what's actually going on. I'm afraid to go outside and talk to people. I don't like to admit that to myself. And I hated admitting that to myself. I hated the shame that was associated with admitting that I was afraid of people. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably ahead of the game because you're admitting that you have fear and that you struggle with this. So that's great. But even still, you probably struggle with admitting that you're afraid to be around people because it's embarrassing, right? It feels personally shameful. Like, what do you mean? I'm afraid of what other people think. Who cares? Why do I care? Why do I care? Maybe I should make a whole podcast on that whole debacle because that's a whole, I could go on that for days. I'll make that another podcast. But you have to realize that you're starting with an emotion and then you're creating a rationalization that you convince yourself is a good reason. No, I got to stay inside today. It's too cold. My hand's been blistering. Whatever reason you can come up with. And you might want to take note of all the excuses that you use. Because for everybody, it's going to be a little bit different. But you have to understand that all of your excuses are that. They are excuses. So what might actually be helpful for you is to start notating when you make excuses, even if you're not ready to take action. If you're not quite ready to go out and push yourself and challenge yourself, that's okay. Because sometimes the first thing we have to do is just realize what our barriers are. And there's so many barriers when it comes to social anxiety. But this is an internal barrier that we create every day, even though deep down we want to succeed, right? Like, obviously, you're listening to this podcast, that means you want to get better and you don't want to have social anxiety forever, but your anxiety doesn't want that. Your anxiety wants to stay where it is. It doesn't want to feel that intensity, because the reality, when you're battling this and you're trying to overcome your social anxiety, you're going to get more anxious before you get less anxious, right? Because you're going to have to force yourself into situations that are uncomfortable. So you can come up with all the excuses. Your body, your mind, your anxiety is going to come up with excuses. So you have to start clocking this. You have to really start being aware of what your excuses are. So you might want to do this. Just write this down. Maybe get a whiteboard and put it on your refrigerator and just start listing out your excuses. Just to start notating them. Just so that when you start saying them to yourself, you may not catch them at first. That's the thing. You have to notice these things. Otherwise, they just become part of the way you think. They don't even appear to be excuses to you anymore. They just appear to be natural responses. Yeah, of course, I'm not going to go outside. It's freezing. That's a good reason. Yeah, sure, whatever. Write it down. Write down the excuse. Write why it's an excuse. And write what your anxiety is doing to you. I see what it's doing. It's trying to trick me because it wants to be safe. But I don't want to be safe anymore. I don't want to play it safe. I'm sick of playing it safe. And I'm sick and tired of my anxiety giving me all these reasons to play it safe because it's not helping me. It's really not helping me. And this is the thing. When you're battling anxiety, you're battling a beast that doesn't want to be tamed. Okay? It doesn't want your help. It's going to fight you tooth and nail. It's going to come up with every reason in the book to not do the things you're supposed to be doing, which is really going out every day. If you're struggling with your confidence and talking to people, you really should be out there every single day. It doesn't have to be big, long conversations, but go outside every day and say hello to somebody. Try to start a small conversation at the grocery store. You can do these, or if you're not even ready for that, if you're not ready to talk, as I've said, I've said in other podcasts, make a 1 to 10 scale. 10 being the hardest thing, 1 being the easiest thing. Find the things that are 5s for you, 5s and 6s. Those are the things that are hard, but you could probably do it. That's where you want to stick. And for you, that might be just being looked at, just being out in public, being seen. Okay? And here's the other thing. Here's like little small excuses we might make. They're not quite excuses, but they're ways to make it easier. It's the winter, right? So, I'll huddle up. I'll put a lot of layers on. I'll put a lot of layers. That way people can't really see me. Fair. I mean, hey, it's cold. You got to put layers on. But that doesn't mean that you have to make yourself small. Okay? We still want to put ourselves out there. We want to be perceived. Again, these are just like little things. I'll give you an example of something I used to do. I used to do this in the summer because I hated the summer. And I had really bad anxiety about my appearance because I was skinny and I was nervous about how scrawny I looked. So I would wear long sleeve shirts in the summer. It didn't matter. It could be 95 degrees. And I would wear them. And I'd convince myself some nonsense reason why it was justifiable. I don't want to get sunburned, please. Give me a break. So you have to find these little other caveats, these little things that you might do. We've talked about safety behaviors before. This falls in that range. What are these safety behaviors you're doing to keep yourself safe? You have to be aware of that. This is one of the first steps, because then you can start doing something about it. And then, you ask, well, what should I do about it? The simple answer is the opposite thing, right? I mean, the simple answer, what I had to start doing was, I'm going to start wearing short sleeve shirts and just let people see how skinny I am, how scrawny I am. Let people observe me. Let people judge me. It's really scary. But if you actually want to overcome this thing, and I know you do, because you wouldn't be listening to this if you didn't, this is something you really have to address. Otherwise, it will tear you down from the inside out, because you will always find an excuse. You will every single day, when you're about to walk out that door, your brain is going to come up with something, some reason why you got to stay home and finish your paper that you could have been doing for the last 10 days, but you decided to wait till today when you had that party that you were invited to. How convenient. This is what we do. We set it up. And again, sometimes it's subconscious. We set things up so that we don't have to make the hard decision. Oh, yeah, that's right. I have that homework assignment. Oh, I guess I can't go out tonight. I used to do this all the time. You got to be aware of this. You start being aware of this, you start realizing how you're sabotaging yourself. And that's the only way you can make change. I hope you found this episode helpful. I hope this encourages you to start noticing and being honest with yourself about the things that you do that get in your own way. And again, I just want to drop another reminder that I started a virtual presentation group. You can join through my website. And basically all it is an opportunity for you to present presentations that you have coming up at work, at school, whatever it is. Even if you don't have one, you can make one up just to get used to talking in front of people. It's going to be small groups, 6 to 10 people, an hour and a half a shot every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join through my website. I'll leave the link in the show notes as well. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you soon.